Hello everyone, I welcome you once again to this channel on practical cybersecurity. I remain Nelson Mivule. I welcome you all. Please like, share, subscribe and comment below. In this video, we are putting our emphasis on the ls command in Linux. Remember earlier we said when we want to open the terminal, we press Ctrl Alt and T to open up the terminal. After opening up the terminal, we look at the ls command. But before we dive deeper into the ls command, I want us to first understand something. This first command called the man command. The word man simply means manual for ls, manual for pwd. So this manual is like a documentation of that specific command in the bin directory. But here I want us to first look at the man command. What does the man command do, or documentation of this command? So every command in Linux has a documentation. And how do we access this documentation? We use the word man. We want to look at the manual for the pwd command. And if you type man pwd, you see you get the manual for the pwd. This man command helps us to read about that specific command, what it does, some switches we can write with that specific command to get a desired output based on your input. This is all about it. As you enter the manual for the pwd command, we need to exit. But how do we exit out of this? If you want to quit the manual page, you just simply press Q to come out of the manual page. After looking at this manual command, we have to now go to the ls command in Linux. So the ls command is just ls. But what is ls? Remember, we used to do mathematics and they tell you to list the elements of that given set. When you are dealing with a directory, that directory has certain contents. It can either have subdirectories or have files. How can we check out these? Either are they files or are they directories? This ls command helps us to list these, either directories or files. And a directory is like that says. This ls command is listing the contents of that directory. But before we dive deeper into listing everything, you can read about the ls command. You can just type man and ls. So you can read through what is ls, listing directory content. These are some of the switches you can run with the ls command. You can read about these switches, some content for this command, because it does more than the pwd command. With that, we can quit. After quitting, earlier on I said if you don't know how to use a command, or you don't want to read the manual page, because for some commands you'll have a longer manual page. In that case, we just run for help. The system already has the help. We just simply type ls -help. The good thing about asking for help, after giving you the output, it gives you the prompt. For the manual page, you have to first quit it. You come back to get this prompt of inputting more commands. It helps you to navigate to the upper sections to understand or to read about these specific switches, such that you can type any of choice into the terminal. If you want, you can look at all these switches for this command. Now we dive deeper into the real ls command, what it really does. Once we type ls, we are listing that where are we working, in which directory are we working in. We type pwd, we are in the / we are in this user's directory, /home, this user's directory. Once we type ls list every content in this directory, we have these different contents. We have some mkv files, the videos I'm recording. You can see here we have these in blue, we have those in white, but these in blue are directories and these in white are files. That is what ls does, simply ls. But ls has switches. Remember, when you're using your phone, you have some hidden files on your phone that you cannot simply view, and for you to view them, you can go to your top 3 dots in your file manager and you allow the show hidden files for you to see them. But here in Linux, we just type ls. When you type ls, minus LA. What does it do? This minus LA, if we can go back and go for some help, ls help, we ask for some help, we need to understand what does minus LA do. Once we ask for help, we get what these switches mean. Minus A is simply listing. Do not ignore entries starting with dot. So we have some entries, some directories. If you get a chance of using GitHub, most of the times it gives you a .git file, a .git directory in your system. Without you using this minus A, you will not be able to see this .git directory. But this minus A helps us to open these files that are hidden. So once you type ls minus A, yeah, you get every file. You remember at first we never had this file wget hosts .wget hosts .sudo as admin successful .profile .packet tracer. We never had these files. .bash rc .bash logout. We never had these files at first. So this minus A lists everything in that directory plus the hidden files, and here you can see there are more than when we ran the ls alone. Yeah, there are more files and directories than when we ran the ls command alone. Once you type ls minus l, what does it do? This ls minus l helps us to understand, are they files, are they directories? As you can see here, we have a D and a minus every starting of the, you remember earlier we were just viewing files, but this minus L is a long listing. If you remember earlier, when you go for some help, we need to go understand what does minus L do. When you go to minus L, it is here. Minus L is here. So this minus L use a long listing format. We are long listing. Long listing here means you are also viewing the file permissions or the directory permissions. This long listing helps you to understand, is this a directory or a file? And also help you understand what permissions each user have on this given directory or file. And once we run it as ls minus L, we shall get this. And you can see here, as I told you earlier, blue is a directory, white is white, and any other color is a certain file. As you can see on the left, the first digit we see here, a D, we see very many D's. But where you see this .pdf file, we have this hyphen first minus, then we have the rw, r what and what. So this D simply means this is a directory, and this minus means that this is a file. And you can see index.html, it's also a file. .html is a file. You can also go to this one, .pdf is also a file. So files have a minus at the extreme left. As you're starting at the extreme left at the start, they have a minus. But for the directories, they have a D. Wherever you find a D, once you use the minus LL switch, that is a directory. As you can see here, these are some few directories and files we have. But remember, we have not listed all of these. But what do we do? What we can do, we can join two switches. Here we can type ls minus LA or AL. Once you type ls minus A, you're telling list all the contents of that directory, even those that are hidden. And once you add on L, you say after listing all the contents of that given directory, then you long list them to understand, are they files, is it a directory, and their permissions. So remember what we saw earlier, the RW and X, those are permissions: read, write, and execute. So this minus AL simply means first list all the content of that directory, then long list them. This A goes first, then L. And you can see here, you may not see it on your physical eyes, but in the kernel that's how it goes. Each switch that comes first is what is executed first, then we go to another. As you can see, at first we had some few files. They are up here. These are some few files we had, but here once we type minus -al, we have more files than we had at first. You can also use ls -la, still gives us the same thing. Yeah, also there are very many files. That is it. On top of that, we can still go back to the help page to see what else we can run with this ls command. We also have an example, this h, human readable. This -h helps us to list everything in a human readable format, including the file sizes or the directory sizes of those given directories in that given directory. So once you type ls -lah, here we get a clear understanding of what is taking place. We have 4.0k. What does it mean? In a human readable way, it helps us to understand that this is some storage of that given file or directory. This shows that this directory is taking up something like 2.1 GB on our storage, and this 4.0k or whatever you're seeing here in this column, that this is showing the size of every directory or file in that given directory. So if we have a directory within a directory, the contained directory or the subset directory becomes a subdirectory of the parent directory. If you want to know more about the ls command, you can just type ls, you ask for help. The last switch here we have -19 version output version information and exit. When you type ls and version, we are dealing with version 9.4 of this ls command. So with all that, thank you for being attentive. I would like you to please like, share, subscribe and comment below to help this channel reach as many as possible. Thank you. We catch up in the next video.